Curfew in Manipur's Jiribam after 11 militants killed in a gun battle with security forces. More additional forces deployed in the area. Donald Trump chooses India backer Marco Rubio as his nominee for Secretary of State, picks Mike Waltz as his national security advisor. Is the Karnataka government considering a proposal to bring 4% quotas for Muslims in public contracts? Sources say yes, but the Chief Minister's office denies. Former Karnataka MLA Syed Khadri claims Ambedkar was ready to convert to Islam, apologizes and withdraws his statement following uproar. North Korea ratifies a landmark defense pact with Russia, promises mutual military and immediate military assistance for each other. Kashmir's higher reaches receive season's first snowfall while plains are lashed by rains, ending a month-long dry spell. These are the pictures of the robotic mules that Army is testing now for deployment at high altitudes. You're watching News9 Live. I'm Shweta Kothari. Our top story at this hour. New details are now emerging from Justice D. Kuna's committee's report in Karnataka on COVID management obtained exclusively by News9 Live. The committee is raising serious objections to COVID measures taken during the tenure of former Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa, B. Srimamulu and Baswaraj Bommai. Now, according to reports, private labs which were not officially recognized by the government allegedly billed for COVID testing without proper orders. Now, this includes accusations against the National Health Mission's managing director, claiming that they facilitated specific labs without following due transparency process. Karnataka Chief Secretary has even recommended an investigation into these irregularities. In fact, another key concern centers on COVID-related advertisements with claims of unlawful expenditure. Additionally, the managing director of BMTC reportedly authorized a payment of 8.85 lakh rupees to a private company without permission. All of this coming by the way of Justice D. Kuna's report. The committee is also calling for a deeper investigation into two BPO companies, accusing them of providing services to the government without any formal agreement. In fact, the department appears to lack any supporting documentation for these transactions at all, and even the payment records have not been handed over to the committee. In light of these revelations, the D. Kuna committee has now advised a recovery of funds from these BPO companies, urging a thorough investigation by the IT experts, IT department to get to the bottom of these allegations. It's clear, though, that there are tough questions being raised on transparency and accountability in Karnataka's COVID expenditure. My colleague Vajiullah is joining us live. Vaji, we now have fresh details by the way of a document that we have accessed that talks about how Justice D. Kuna has raised some alarms about how COVID was really managed in the state of Karnataka.
Well, Shweta, exactly these details that we have are exclusive information that you guys have access to. And this particular report clearly gives us an indication of the irregularities that happened during the COVID-19 time. The first thing that it mentions about is the testing labs that were identified by the NHM. NHM is the National Health Mission, which was a part of the Karnataka government when it's during the COVID time. And they had identified 14 such labs which were not authorized by the ICMR. If you remember, during the COVID time, ICMR had specifically allotted a few labs, testing labs across the country under which testing should have been taken place. But there were 14 such labs about which there is no such record in, according to the committee that has highlighted this report. And it is said that close to 6 crore rupees were given to such companies where testing had happened, and there is no agreement that was taken by these companies. Now, why this is a violation? Because according to the Epidemic Act of the 1997, there are certain criteria under which a lab has been identified for testing. and that those labs are given by the central government, and we will and any state has to follow any state has to follow the details that are given by the central government. And in this particular case, what we've seen according to the Michael Dacuna report is that 14 such labs who were given the responsibility for testing and this thing had no agreement, nor were they identified by the ICMR. Apart from that, the other details that also come out is about money that was taken by the BMTC or MD with regards to the advertising that was done, and to the tune of 8 lakh rupees. So these reports that we are highlighting today clearly indicate the allegations that the Karnataka government has been leveling against the previous government, previous BJP government with regards to the COVID scam that we had highlighted. A few days back, we had also shown how there was irregularities in the procurement of PPE kits where it was taken from China to the tune of 2,000 rupees, when there were domestic suppliers who was giving the same PPE kits to the tune of 400 rupees to 1,400 rupees. So these irregularities highlighted by the Karnataka government clearly, and the document of which we have in our access clearly shows that there were a lot of mismanagement that has taken place during at that point of time. From what we've learned from our sources from the BJP, that it was a time when there was a lot of emergency situation, and some checks were not done, but that has to be collaborated from somebody official from the government, from the previous government, and we are waiting for that statement from them. As of now, what we clearly have highlighted to our viewers is a few discrepancies that the current government have shown in this particular report that we have our access to.
Yeah, all right. You know, I want to quickly run our viewers, Vaji, through all the details that have emerged in the past 1 week. So there were allegations to begin with of the PPE kits that were procured from Chinese, some of the Chinese suppliers without actually passing a tender, without actually looking for homegrown PPE kits provider. And so there was a loss of money there because there were no tenders passed. And so no reason as to why we had to pay an exorbitant amount, or rather the Karnataka government had to pay an exorbitant amount to some Chinese company in order to procure those PPE kits. So there was money lost there. We're now given to also understand that there has been some sort of financial transactions as far as facilities that were testing for COVID is concerned. There is also some problem with with regard to rather procurement of buses. So overall, COVID management, from PPE kits to testing, the entirety of management under the BJP regime, the previous BJP regime in Karnataka, is now under question.
Exactly, Sweta. These exact words, these reports are also being mentioned about the fact that how we highlighted the PPE kit report, because I remember at the time of COVID, I was in Delhi and we were following the ICMR regulations very thoroughly, and they had specifically, in the initial days, they had specifically taken PPE kits from various companies from outside India, and then there was another notification that was given by the ICMR that Indian companies should also start procuring or start making PPE kits, and there were some designated companies through which PPE kits were procured initially. In this particular report, what Michael Dacuna is trying to indicate is exactly on the same lines when those ICMR had designated the PPE kit suppliers, designated the testing labs. Despite all these things given to the state government had gone on to identify 14 such labs with which there was no agreement done. If there was no agreement then, and on what basis these labs were given the availability of testing people, or given the task of testing people and the other test that was done during the COVID time. So this report by Michael Dacuna clearly indicates some mismanagement that was done during that time, because through the, if we talk about the PPE kits, they indicate that close to 14 crore amount of 14 crore was used, mismanaged in this entire thing. When it comes to the testing lab, 6 crore was given to 14 labs which are not identified by the ICMR, and with which we do not have an agreement with. That what Michael Dacuna says. And it also says additionally, 8 more labs were given close to 4 crore with regards to testing. Now, these labs that we have identified do not come under the ICMR, nor do they come under the Epidemic Act, because under the Act, it is incumbent for any state to follow what the central government is doing, what the health ministry is giving them from the center. But in this case, what we've seen through this report is that there were a lot of violations, there were a lot of irregularities, and a lot of mismanage that was done during COVID time, and a lot of money that was used for things that was not supposed to be used for.
Right, and for those of us who are just joining us on the show, I think it's important to run our viewers through the entirety of the controversy. Remember, a report, an inquiry, a commission of inquiry was set up under Justice Dikuna in order to look into COVID controversies or COVID scam rather under the previous Karnataka regime of the BJP. This was promised by Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah. We now are given to understand that the committee has now sent out its final report. It has looked into expenditures that the Karnataka government made at the peak of pandemic to the tune of about 7,000 crore rupees, and whether there were any irregularities in the expenses that the Karnataka government made. The committee has come out with a very scathing report against the then Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa, stating that there were in fact irregularities on multiple levels. Before I let you go, Vaji, a final question to you. We're now looking at perhaps the government also indicting, the report has already indicted, the previous BJP regime in Karnataka, but we're also looking at perhaps a formal inquiry to be brought in. To what extent is the money need to be recovered? What is the amount that perhaps the Karnataka government will look to recover?
Well, Shraddha, this is the interim report that we have our access to. We are yet to have an access to the complete report. And in this report, Michael Dacuna, from the pages that we have in our access, he's not directly named anybody, but because this was the time period where Yediyurappa, Basuraj Bommai and Sriramalu were a part of the ministry or the part of the government, because Yediyurappa was the chief minister for the first phase, and after that we saw a shift in power where Basuraj Bommai took over the reign of the Karnataka government, and that time a change in the health ministry. Initially it was Sudhakar took his place. So therefore, it has not directly named these people, but it has spoken about how these people were part of the power in that point of time. Now, how much of money that has to be recovered is something that we still have to come to, because of the entire report is not in our hand. This is the first few pages that we have from our interim report. But from what we can make an assessment is, if we talk about the PPE kits, it says that 14 crores of amount have been spent with regards to PPE kits. So if we note 14 crores, then 6 crore was given to labs that were not authorized by the government. Then another 6 crore makes it 20 crores. Another 4 crore was given to another set of 8 labs which are not identified, makes it 24 crores. Then another 8 lakh. So as of now, we can give a rough figure of 25 crores, but then there are also 2 BPOs that have been mentioned, which were used for information services and for awareness services.
Right.
These BPOs were also not identified, nor were there any agreement with this, and they've asked for, and there was a recommendation by the Dacuna report that the money should be withdrawn from them. So all these things, if we do together, right now we can give an assessment of 24 crores, but we will still have to wait for an entire report to come out. This is just the interim bit of it. As soon as we get the access of that, we will bring that out to our viewers.
Right, absolutely. As far as interim reports is concerned, and parts of which we have been able to access, it looks like the money right now could be to the tune of about 25 crore rupees. The money would be more or less depending on whenever we access that final report. We are given to understand it has already been submitted to the Karnataka government. But shifting focus now, another controversy that has rocked Karnataka's government, the Siddaramaiah government. Reports now suggest that the government tried to implement reservations for Muslim community in government contracts. Reports say that the government contemplated 4% reservation for Muslim community for government contracts, civil contracts under Category 2B of amending the Transparency in Public Procurement Act. The government has already provided reservations to SC, ST, OBC community in contracts. The Chief Minister's office has, however, dismissed these reports and said that no such proposal is in the works.
The fact of the matter is that the government has not taken any decision with this regard. There was a delegation that met the Chief Minister. The delegation had Zamir Ahmed, Salim Ahmed, the other big Muslim leaders of the community, and they had come and given this proposal to the government, saying that when you have contracts and reservations for SC, ST communities, OBC communities and other minority communities, then there should also be a consideration for the Muslim reservation also, where they can also get the government contracts and government tenders with regards to various projects that are there in the government fray. But the government had not taken any decision on it. The government had just taken a proposal that they have given and have not done any discussion with their cabinet on it, or there was no meeting with regards to it. It was just a proposal that was given to them. and the government on per se has not taken any decision with this regard. So that is what the Chief Minister's office has clarified and gone on to say that it was a proposal and there has been nothing more on this other than that proposal that was given by the community, which is the right of every community that they can come and give their proposal. We've seen this in the past on how the Lingayat community, the Vokaliga community had come and given a proposal to the government with regards to the caste census, where they said that the caste census should not be implemented; it will affect their community. We'd also seen the minority communities in the state coming to the government and saying that please implement the caste census because it will help uplift their community. So, as a proposal, every community can come and give what they want, but it is on the government whether they take that proposal seriously or not. As of now, the Chief Minister's office has clarified that they have not taken any such proposals. They have not decided to implement any such reservations for Muslims and so. And they've also gone on to say, the Congress leaders have also gone on to say that it is the BJP who's trying to push this issue because they're believing they want to communalize the elections that are coming forward, which is the Maharashtra election, the Jharkhand election, and also 3 bypolls that are going to take place in Karnataka. So with this regard, the BJP has been pushing, this is what the government has claimed, but the Chief Minister officer has completely denied this.
The bodies of 2 elderly men, Laishram Belin and Maibam Kesho, were recovered this morning in Manipur's Jiribam district, where a gunfight between militants and security forces broke out on a day earlier. During a search operation, bodies of 2 elderly men were recovered on Tuesday morning in the debris where a few shops were set on fire by militants on Monday, according to news agencies. Now, locals and security forces have also recovered several improvised mortar shells in Imphal West District. The search operation has been launched as 5 individuals were reported missing. The Jiribam District Administration imposed prohibitory orders to avoid any untoward incident in the area. A shutdown has been observed since 5 a.m. on Tuesday. The Kukizo Council has also called for a total shutdown in the hill area of the state from 5 in the morning to 6 in the evening. 11 militants were killed in a furious gunfight with security forces on Monday. 2 CRPF personnel also sustained injuries during heavy exchange of fire at Borobekra. Operations were continuing to flush out militants, and reinforcement teams consisting of Assam rifles. The situation in Jiribam remained calm but tense on Tuesday morning, with policemen patrolling at vulnerable points.
What happened yesterday in Jiribam was that around in the afternoon, around 2:30 to 3, there was an attack by armed miscreants at this Borobekra police station, and also at the CRPF camp just located very nearby there at Jalurato. Yes. So in that the armed militants, they were using RPGs and sophisticated automatic weapons such as AK and INSAS and SLRs, and the CRP also, after they were attacked, one of them got injured and they were the person was evacuated to Assam for treatment. The CRP also retaliated to the attack, and after that the firing stops after about 45 minutes. We found that there were a lot of casualties. About 10 militants were found dead. 2 old persons, senior persons, were found burned to death, and 3 women and 3 children, minors, were found missing. So this is the situation that happened yesterday, and now the police is trying to trace those 3 missing women and 3 minor children.
Time for a short break now. We'll be back after this very short break.
next Indian icons, beating everyone on the globe. A new perspective awaits. B6E and XEV9E. Mahindra's electric origin SUVs. Catch them at Unlimit India.
Why is the state not looking at putting an embargo on that?
As a Telangana person, I will not accept.
How do ordinary folks deal with this?
How do you fulfill that promise? Because ultimately expectations have to be met. If you look at the political landscape, is it really changing for women? And what is the inability of the forces that dead bodies surface but not the living people?
Welcome back. Ahead of West Bengal Assembly by-polls, an alleged scam of State Education Department worth more than 1,000 crore rupees has now come to light. Under the West Bengal government's Tarun Ka Sapna scheme, the state government pays money for buying tablets for students of class 11th and 12th. As per the scheme, 10,000 rupees is also given directly to each students of class 11th and 12th in their bank accounts to buy tablets. This time, the money for buying the tablets has come under scrutiny. Allegations are that the money which should have gone into students' bank accounts is going to a ghost account. At least 3 schools in Malda have been found to have such gross irregularities. The tablet allotment money of 15 girl students of Murshidabad's Salar school have also gone into a fake account in Bihar's Kishanganj. Now that's not all. The same scam has been reported even from the Jhargram district. There are more than 16 lakh students in class 11th and 12th across the state. About 1,600 crore rupees has been spent on Tarun Ka Sapna scheme.
स्टूडेंट लोगों को 11 और क्लास 12 का स्टूडेंट जो है उसको गवर्नमेंट से तरुण सपना जो है इसमें इस प्रोजेक्ट में टैब और मोबाइल खरीदने के लिए 10,000 रुपया देता है गवर्नमेंट, आपको मालूम है। इस बरस क्लास 11 और 12 का स्टूडेंट को वो दिया, लेकिन देखा जाए तो कोई घोटाला का जो पिक्चर अभी सामने में आ रहा है। कोई स्टूडेंट का अकाउंट में टाका नहीं गया, पैसा नहीं गया, वो टाका अन्य जो आदमी है, आम आदमी है, उसका अकाउंट में चल गया। कोई स्टूडेंट के अकाउंट में 2 बार पैसा चल गया। तो वो जो टोटल सिस्टम है ना, डिसरप्टेड हो गया है, क्योंकि जो गवर्नमेंट का जो विजिलेंस रहना चाहिए था, इतना रुपया जो वो ट्रांसफ़र कर रहा है, इसलिए जो विजिलेंस रहना चाहिए था वो नहीं था। पिछले बरस भी इस घटना हुआ था, रिपोर्ट किया था शिक्षा दफ्तर में, लेकिन शिक्षा दफ्तर ऑथेंटिक मेजर नहीं लिया था। इसलिए इस बरस बहुत ज़्यादा घटना हो रहा है, वो रुकना चाहिए गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से। और हमारा जो सोच है कि गवर्नमेंट का कोई आदमी इसमें इन्वॉल्व है, इसलिए ये करने की ज़रूरत नहीं, वो साहस हो रहा है उसका ये करने के लिए।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has launched a sharp attack on the opposition in Maharashtra, the Mahavikas Aghadi, calling them the biggest players of corruption while addressing a rally in Maharashtra. PM Modi criticized MVA, saying that people of Maharashtra waited decades for rail connectivity, but Aghadi and the Congress party blocked progress.
भाइयों बहनों, महाराष्ट्र का तेज विकास ये अघाड़ी वालों के बस की बात नहीं है भाई। अगाड़ी वालों ने केवल विकास पर ब्रेक लगाने में पीएचडी कर दी है। कामों को अटकाना, लटकाना और भटकाना, ये कांग्रेस वाले तो इसमें डबल पीएचडी है, एक्सपर्ट है। 2.5 साल में इन्होंने मेट्रो से लेकर वाडवण पोर्ट और समृद्धि महामार्ग तक हर विकास परियोजनाओं को रोकने का काम किया। इसलिए याद रखिएगा, आघाड़ी यानी भ्रष्टाचार के सबसे बड़े खिलाड़ी।
An Indian Army has now inducted 100 robotic multi-utility legged equipment or mule for use in combat areas, especially in high altitude. Now, this will significantly streamline support and movement for forward forces, especially in high altitude area. These robots can climb stairs, steep hills and operate in extreme temperatures ranging from -40 degrees to 55 degrees Celsius and carry a payload of 15 kilograms. The robotic mule is a durable, agile ground robot designed for all weather, equipped with electro-optics and infrared technology for object recognition. It can move through and inside rivers. The mule is expected to help Indian Army enhance surveillance capabilities without risking human lives and ensure critical supplies reach frontline soldiers.
जो आप तस्वीरों में देख रहे हैं, ये हाल ही में ही भारतीय सेना के बेड़े में शामिल हुआ नया हथियार है। इसका नाम है रोबोटिक म्यूल। इस तस्वीरों में आप देख रहे हैं, ये रोबोटिक म्यूल है और आप तस्वीरों में देखिए, इसकी अगर खासियत की बात की जाए, ये तकरीबन 52 kg है और ये ऑपरेशन यानी कि आतंक का काल भी इसे माना जाता है। तकरीबन 3 घंटे तक ऑपरेशन टाइम में इसको इस्तेमाल किया जा सकता है। मैक्सिमम स्पीड की अगर बात की जाए तो 10 किलोमीटर पर आवर की इसकी स्पीड है और अगर इसके पेलोड की कैपेसिटी की बात की जाए 10 kg तक ये पेलोड जो है वो उठा सकता है। खास बात ये कि इसके अंदर तकरीबन 5 कैमरे लगे हुए हैं। दिन हो या रात, इस तरीके से ये पूरी लाइव फीड जो है वो दे सकता है। इसके अंदर सेंसर लगे हुए हैं। ऑपरेशन साइट में, क्योंकि जिस तरीके से लगातार जम्मू कश्मीर में कई आतंकी वारदातें देखने को मिली है सामने, और उसके बाद ये भारतीय सेना का नया हथियार है जिसको आप देख रहे हैं और ये हाल ही में ही भारतीय सेना के बेड़े में शामिल हुआ है। सबसे खास बात ये कि ये मेड इन इंडिया है और आप तस्वीरों में देखिए कि किस तरीके से ये ऑपरेट करता है और ये बेहद खास हथियार जो है ये हाल ही में ही भारतीय सेना के बेड़े में शामिल हुआ है। और जाहिर तौर पर जिस जगह पे भी आतंकी छुपे होंगे वहाँ पर खास तौर पे इसका इस्तेमाल जो है वो किया जाएगा।
And that's all from me on the show. Thank you very much for watching.
The next Indian icons, beating everyone on the globe. A new perspective awaits. B6E and XEV9E. Mahindra's electric origin SUVs. Catch them at Unlimit India.
Cooking is an act of love. The first act of love we receive from our mothers in the families.
Modern Indian food is all about contemporary and innovative approach to traditional Indian cooking.
Representation it's also important,